What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. You guys, welcome back to another edition of Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news. I'm your host, Mr. Mike Brown. I'm here all the time, and guys, woof, if you have not been paying attention to what has been going on in the news this past weekend, woof, boy, oh boy, do we have quite the nugget of things to talk about. Usually I have a guest helping me talk about these things. Today I am going solo. Yeah, you guys, this particular situation, if you're not familiar with what it is that I'm referring to, HBO Max has announced some pretty big. It's actually Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers Media has announced some pretty big things in the news. Before we get into those things, first things first, I need to tell you, head on over to YouTube. If you're not already watching this on YouTube, type in Gotta Love Them Movies. In the top right-hand corner of the screen, you're going to see a little red button that says subscribe. Go ahead and click on that button. What clicking on that button does is it helps us to widen our subscriber base. And yes, I understand you're watching this on you may be watching this on Facebook Live, but the importance of going over to YouTube and clicking that subscribe button, with the more subscribers we get, the more watched content the channel generates. And with the more watched content the channel generates, I begin to qualify for ad revenue, and I get to make the show my full-time job. So I very much appreciate you going over to YouTube and clicking that subscribe button. Of course, as always, as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers, this show will be moving from Facebook to YouTube. So just something to be on the radar there. All right, guys. Now it's time to it's time to talk about HBO Max, Warner Brothers, and all things movie news. Yeah, here we go.
What?
All right, you guys, if I seem a little bit disheveled this morning, it is because, I have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts rolling around in my brain right now. There's a lot that I want to talk about, a lot to unpack. There's just a lot to unpack here. First and foremost, we all know. I'd say we all know what's going on with Warner Brothers and HBO Max, but there's some major news bombs that have dropped. It's this concept is so big, I'm so disheveled. My thoughts are all over the place. So bear with me okay. So we're going to talk about the HBO Max situation in a few different parts. First, what exactly did HBO announce? Second part, what and whom does this affect? We're going to spend the majority of the time talking about what and whom does this affect. And then lastly, what else changes? If this is true, what else is true? What else can be affected by, what are the dominoes that are about to fall, right? So first and foremost, I just want to talk about what exactly did HBO announce? All right, let's go over to HBO's website for a second. This is what the announcement was. So starting on Christmas Day, this Christmas Day, in just under 3 weeks, December 25th, 2020, we already knew that Wonder Woman 1984 was dropping on HBO Max streaming. We already knew that. The big news is that starting with Wonder Woman 1984, starting with Christmas Day, for the next year, over 2021, Warner Media will be dropping 17 movies. That's one movie every 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks, HBO Max is getting a brand new title, starting with Wonder Woman 1984. Probably In the Heights is next. I mean, they haven't made an exact listing as to what films are coming in what order, but one major movie every 3 weeks: Wonder Woman 1984, In the Heights, the Tom and Jerry movie, Dune, Judas and the Black Messiah, Suicide Squad, Godzilla vs. Kong, The Many Saints of Newark, The Conjuring 3, Malignant, Those Who Wish Me Dead, King Richard, Space Jam, Reminiscence, The Little Things, Mortal Kombat, and The Matrix 4. These 17 movies not just are coming out on HBO Max. The big announcement, this is such a huge thing. They're coming out, yes, on HBO Max, but every time a new movie, one of these new titles, drops on HBO Max every 3 weeks, that movie is also coming out in the movie theaters on the same day. This has never been done before. This has never been COVID is an unprecedented situation, especially in today's day and age, right? It's an unprecedented situation. We've been saying on the show, and multiple other YouTubers and multiple other news outlets, what was impossible yesterday suddenly is possible today. What was improbable yesterday suddenly becomes probable today, right? Things change so exponentially. And while this has kind of been amping up over the past year, right? Ever since COVID happened, ever since the world shut down. It's weird. It's weird to think of it in those terms. Ever since the world shut down, but it's true. Ever since the world shut down, we've been wondering, do you remember back in March when, late February, early March, when quarantine first started becoming a thing, and we're all wondering, oh, well, movie theaters are going to be closed. So, I don't know, maybe we'll just kind of wait it out for 3 months and then we'll go back to the theater. Everything will return to normal. Well, here we are, just under a year later, and things are worse than they have been. The future is extremely uncertain. So, oh man, there's so much to talk about. My mind is just jumbled with all sorts of things, right? So, okay. So this was the announcement. HBO Max, starting with Wonder Woman 1984, starting in just under 3 weeks from now, they will be releasing one brand new movie every 3 weeks, both in theaters and on HBO Max. Unprecedented, never been done before. What was impossible yesterday is suddenly possible today. So that's the big news bomb. Now, when I first heard about this, I was working, some of you know, I work as a flight attendant, so the news, I was on the go. It's complicated, but when I first heard about it, I was so in my other flight attendant world, I compartmentalize, and when I have to go back and forth, this is the same thing of what happened to me when I was in Orlando. Do I film segments for this show while I'm in Universal Studios, or do I just enjoy Universal Studios because I'm there, So it's hard for me in my brain to kind of go back and forth between work mode and play and whatever, right? So when I heard about this news, I didn't get the full story. I didn't understand the full concept of it. So initially my knee-jerk reaction was that they were dropping all 17 movies this Christmas Day. And I thought that was crazy to me because Suicide Squad isn't even finished filming yet. They're still in production, right? I couldn't wrap my mind around this concept, but whatever. So here we are. So that right there, that is the big announcement. That's what they're doing. So that's what HBO Max announced. So the next part, what and whom does this affect? This is the part that we're going to be talking about probably the longest, probably the biggest. It's no stretch of the imagination that this actually kind of goes without saying. This affects movie theaters the most. Knee-jerk reaction. Like, this is when you hear that all of these movies are, I mean, yeah, they're still coming out in theaters, but to say that this is a tectonic shift, like this is the meteor hitting the earth and dinosaurs being obliterated, right? This is that same level. Like this is equivalent to scientists looking into the sky and saying, "Hey, there's a meteor coming. It hasn't hit yet. There's a meteor coming and it's going to hit the earth and everything's about to change," right? So, okay. So when we say the death of movie theaters, are movie theaters actually going to die? No. Movie theaters will not completely go away. A few months ago, we were talking about this on the show with Jonathan Pitts. Jonathan Pitts is, he was the co-creator of the Chicago Improv Festival. I think he was the creator of the Chicago Improv Festival, co-producer of it for the past 20 years, right? One of the things that Jonathan had pointed out is that we are social creatures. We are social beings. We need group experiences. This is what it means. This is what it looks like to be human, to have these feelings and emotions that, we need to commiserate in a group. Like there's a reason that, for a wedding, you invite all of your friends and family. For a funeral, all friends and family come together. Social Christmas parties, birthday parties, just because. Like, people throw dinner parties just because. So we are social creatures. I don't think that the movie theater going experience is going to completely die out. It will be dramatically reduced. I believe that it will be dramatically reduced in the same way that vinyl. And, I've heard other people kind of comparing the movie theater going experience to kind of like vinyl dying out. Vinyl has not completely died out. Vinyl is still going. In fact, in a lot of places, vinyl is outselling compact discs. Why would anybody buy a CD anymore? The whole purpose of having a CD is to get your music digitally. That's the purpose of having a CD. So when you can just download the MP3, when you can go to iTunes or Spotify or whatever, however you stream your music, like that's the CD experience. You cue it up instantaneously. There's nothing to rewind. There's no tape. There's nothing to get scratched. It doesn't physically exist. It digitally exists, but it doesn't physically exist, right? So vinyl has been one of those markets of this is for the collectors. This is for the true music fan, right? A former roommate of mine, Travis Lovelace. Oh, I love Travis. What a lovely, wonderful human being. He was a vinyl collector. He had his record player or his vinyl player. I don't know what they called him. He had a record player, and he would collect vinyls and just play them. And when you listen to a vinyl, as opposed to listening to the digital experience of streaming or CD or whatever, it is a different experience. Just the same way that streaming a movie off of HBO Max and going to the movie theater is a even more dramatic difference of an experience, right? So I don't think, in fact, I'm confident movie theaters will not completely go away. They will be reduced. They will dramatically be reduced, but I don't think that they will ever fully, completely go away. And in fact, now, I've always dreamed of owning my own theater. It's, being a live theater as a comedian, as an improviser, I've always wanted to have my own improv club. But now, in the day and age that Warner Media has announced that their entire 2021 film catalog, or not film catalog. Their releases are coming out on HBO Max on the same day that they're coming out in the theatrical experience. Knowing that movie theaters will eventually go away, not completely, it kind of makes me want to own my own movie theater, Kind of makes me want to own my own movie theater. Now I'm getting these images I'm conjuring these pictures of being that old curmudgeon. Like, I will be the ghost in the one movie theater in town that everybody thought was abandoned. And then you go into the movie theater and, ooh, I'm the ghost that plays movies for, I want to be that guy. Anyway. So movie theaters will not go away completely. We're social creatures. We need to have group experiences together. The Ziegfeld Theater. Before the Ziegfeld closed, they used to show old-timey movies, like movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, up on the big screen. And if you never had the opportunity to go to the Ziegfeld Theater, my goodness, what an experience. It's a very different experience from going to the AMC Dolby Theater. Very different experience. They have the hard, rigid chairs where, just jam-pack people in. It's huge. It was huge. That theater was enormous. It easily held maybe, 1,000 people. It was massive. Completely massive. And I loved it. And the screen was ginormous. And it was great. It was wonderful. It was fun. So, yeah. My belief, movie theaters will not go away completely. So, who else is... okay, so what are the other domino effects? The way things currently are, when a movie is released... When I say currently, I mean before the pandemic. The way things have been going... When a movie comes out in the theaters, the movie theater chain and the studio come up with a deal as to who takes what percentage of the box office, right? And usually because, historically, movie theaters have primarily earned their money, their profit, their money-making things from the concessions, like popcorn and hot dogs and soda and, all that stuff. That's where the theater makes their money. So they take a smaller cut of the movie, of box office sales, right? Of ticket sales. So, and every movie is different. Every movie is different. So you have an Avengers Endgame, right? Let's use that as and there's another, we'll get into that hullabaloo in a little bit. But let's just say that, you have an Avengers Endgame. Everybody knew that Avengers Endgame was going to make a butt ton of money. Everybody knew this, right? So the movie theater, it's more advantageous for the movie theaters to negotiate, we want a higher percentage of the box office. You guys are going to be earning a ton of money off of this movie, and we're going to get just a teeny tiny little small percentage. So we want a bigger take, right? We want 40%. We want 40% of the box office. Now you get a smaller film, let's go ahead and use The Invisible Man as with Kate Moss as an example. So Invisible Man is about to come out. Nobody really knows how well or how poor it's going to be. The production budget of The Invisible Man was $7 million, so it's very low, a very low cost movie. It ended up making a ton of money, but they didn't know that at the time. That wasn't a foregone conclusion. You can't look at The Invisible Man with Kate Moss and say, oh, everybody's going to love this movie, so we want 40% of the box office. Chances are very likely that the movie theaters that showed The Invisible Man only took maybe a 10% take, right? They only took a 10% take of the box office, plus concessions, So, with HBO Max dropping all of their movies onto streaming, the movie theaters are probably going to take a higher percentage of the box office. Probably, because they need to, because less people are going to go to the movie theaters. Here's another thing. Every movie that is dropped, let's just take Wonder Woman 1984, and the same model is applicable to every other film that they drop every 3 weeks, right? So with Wonder Woman, it's only going to be in theaters for 31 days. It's only going to be on streaming for 31 days. As it comes out in theaters, it will complete its theatrical run. Whether it's going to be 16 weeks, whether it's going to be 20 weeks, maybe it'll be 10 weeks. However long that theatrical run is, it's going to complete its theatrical run. And then, sometime after that, Warner Media and whoever I guess they're the distributor, but whoever the production company is, which in this case would be Warner Brothers, they get to cut a deal with others or themselves when it's going to come out on VOD. Is it going to come back out again on HBO Max? Nobody knows. I mean, probably, but it'll probably be a little while before that happens, right? So box office ticket sales are going to suffer dramatically. Movie theater, there will be certain chains that go under. I'm looking at you, AMC. AMC Theaters is the largest theater chain, not just in North America, but in the world. They're the biggest ones in the world. They're also $5 billion in debt because, they spent the time. AMC Theaters understands how important the theatrical movie-going experience is. They understand this. They spent the time to revamp their theaters, to improve their product, to make things awesome, reclinable seats, 4K screens, Dolby surround sound, not in every single cinema, but they've taken the time to improve their theater going experience. Yes, ticket prices have gone up. Yes, they've also introduced AMC A-List, which it started turning a profit before COVID hit. A little profit, but it started turning a profit. In which, for the consumer, if you're like me, if you go to see more than one movie a month, totally worth it. Totally worth it. In New York City, AMC A-List was, I think it was what, $25 a month? I think it was $25 a month. You got to see 3 movies a week. Any movie you wanted, up to 3 movies a week. You could see the same movie over and over and over again. You could see whatever you wanted. 3 movies a week for $25. That's a great deal. That's an incredible deal. Awesome. So yes, movie theaters, there will be certain chains that just go away and will not recover. Other theaters, I think it's very likely that AMC theaters will file for bankruptcy. That they will have to file for Chapter 7, not Chapter 11. I think they will file for Chapter 7, which means they're done. If they file for Chapter 7, they sell off all of their property. The courts come in and they look at all of their finances, all of their assets, everything. And then they sell off systematically everything to try and, not just turn a profit, but they essentially will be out of business. And whoever buys up these other properties, these other theaters, maybe they'll convert them into their own theater. Maybe they will convert them into storefronts. Maybe they will convert them into parking lots. Who knows? But I think that's what AMC Theaters is going to do. In fact, if you look at the stock market of what happened with AMC Theaters stock the hour that Warner Media announced dropping all of their movies on HBO Max, that very same hour on the stock market, the stock for AMC Theaters plummeted that same hour. Coincidence? Oh yeah. Or rather, no. Not a coincidence. I think this was directly related. There's no other way to see that. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here. But let's go back to the original question: what and whom does this affect? So yes, movie theaters are drastically going to be affected by this. We're going to see a huge decrease in theaters across the United States, and yes, across the world, because multiple theater chains will have to close because they won't be able to sustain themselves. They just won't. They're not going to get the same amount of people coming to theaters because you can stay home and watch this on HBO Max for 30 days. You can watch it. You can watch Wonder Woman 31 days in a row if you really wanted to. I doubt many people are going to do that, but hey, who knows? Maybe somebody will. You can watch Tom and Jerry. Children will probably want to watch the Tom and Jerry movie every single day for a month, right? Hopefully they get sick of it after a month. Who knows? And if you really, really want to go see it again after it's been taken off of HBO Max, after its 31-day run on HBO Max, you can still go to the movie theater and see it, providing if there's a movie theater within your area for you to go check it out and see it, right? But there's more people that this affects than just the movie theaters. Here, let me pull this up. Where is my web browser? Okay. So over on Forbes, I was looking to see what is going on specifically with HBO Max and the UK. I mean, there's a lot of countries that HBO Max has not released yet. Or rather, the service has not been released in yet. The UK is one of them. HBO currently has a deal with Sky Television, or the Sky service, to show HBO releases on the Sky platform. It's being theorized that just kind of in a similar format of what Disney did with Mulan for a premium service. Oh, you want to watch Mulan? Well, first of all, you have to be a Disney Plus subscriber, and you also have to pay a premium. So it's being theorized that there may be a premium service for our friends over in the UK. Matthew Wiles, I know you're watching right now, so this is directed at you, sir. There's a possibility that, well, hold on. Let's jump into the article for a second. Let's see. Warner Brothers, keep in mind, this is Forbes. This is not some trashy news outlet. This is Forbes magazine. Warner Brothers announced blah, 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 blah. This is a great blow to movie theaters already struggling for an almost a year of on and off closures due to the pandemic. But how would this work in countries outside of the U.S., like, for example, the UK, where the streaming platform HBO Max is not available? Furthermore, what does this mean for the theatrical window that has shaped film releases for decades, protecting cinema theaters? Well, to answer that second part, it doesn't matter anymore. But let's go back to the first part. After suffering through delays of major blockbusters this year, the news that Warner Brothers plans to release all of its 2021 films in theaters and on its streaming platform on the same day must feel devastating for the theaters. True. Toby Emmerich, Warner Brothers group chairman, told The Hollywood Reporter, quote, "It allows us to do a global release and a national release in what we think is going to be a checkerboard theatrical marketplace for the bulk of 2021. We think where theaters are open and consumers can go, that a lot of people will choose to go to the theater, especially for big movies." To which I say, hold on. Where am I? There I am. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And I'll tell you why. 2 reasons. 1, people just don't feel safe going to the theaters anymore. People don't, and when I say people, I don't mean literally everyone. I feel safe going to the theaters. I've been 4 times already. I love it. I cherish it. If you can do it and do it safely, go for it. I feel that I can do it safely. I feel that I have done it safely. I feel that we have not gone to the movie theaters willy-nilly, blindly. I want to go see this movie and nothing's going to get in my way. No. We did an extensive amount of research before we went back to the movie theaters. I bring my own bottles of alcohol. When I say bottles of alcohol, I have two different types of spray bottles. I have the pump spray like this, and then also the pump spray like this, right? So I just coat everything in alcohol. I wipe it all down. Our seats and the seats next to us. I wipe everything down, including inside of the cup holder. I wipe everything down. I feel that I've done a decent enough job, a good enough job. Not everybody shares that same sentiment. Not everybody feels the same way about this that I do. And that's fine. So for the chairman of Warner Brothers to come out and say, we think where theaters are open and consumers can go, that a lot of people will choose to go to the theater, especially for big movies. No, they won't. No, they won't. They just won't. Because like I said, a lot of people don't feel safe. 2, why go to the movie theater when you have it streaming in your house? For the bulk majority of theater goers, people just want to see the movie. People do not, in a general sense, people do not cherish the theater going experience the same way that I do. Maybe the same way that you do. People, and when I say people, I just mean like the general sense of people. People just want to see the movie, and if they can see it at home, that's good enough for them. I care about the theater going experience. I want the glitz. The scene in the movie Annie when she gets to go to the movies for the first time with Daddy Warbucks and the whole cast of characters and Sandy the dog is there and just kind of running down the aisles and everyone's like, why is there a dog in a movie theater? And there's people dancing and everyone's dressed to the nines in like these incredible black tie ball gowns and red velvet curtains and like with gold trim and people with flashlights like showing you to your seat. It was that even though I understand in 2020 going to the movie theater, or even in 2019, in 2019 going to the movie theater did not look like how it does in the movie Annie, but in my mind it does. That's what I believe. That is the fantasy that I live in when I go to the movie theaters. It's this incredibly glamorous, rich, it doesn't matter if it's packed or if it's empty. It's this experience where you get sound coming from all directions. You're laid out in a seat with your bucket of popcorn and a beautiful screen up in front of you. Doesn't matter if it's a good story or a bad story. It doesn't matter. It matters the movie that you're watching. But in terms of the experience, it doesn't matter about the movie that you're watching because you're having this experience. If it's a terrible movie, okay, but you're having this experience. And usually it's with other people, right? I mean, I go to the movie theater by myself all the time. And when I say all the time, of course, I mean 2019 and earlier. I used to go all the time by myself. But I also would arrange big groups to go. Like when a big release is coming, like the latest Harry Potter movie, or when Avengers Endgame came out, we went down to Orlando to pick up a friend of mine who was on a cruise ship. She just finished working and living on a cruise ship. We drove down to Miami. We picked her up. We drove back to Orlando. We met other friends of ours in Orlando, and we went to the AMC theaters at Downtown Disney. Which, if you're not familiar with Downtown Disney, it's just Disney Springs is what it's called now, but it used to be called Downtown Disney. So we went to Disney Springs, AMC theaters, all the nines, the IMAX, the Dolby Theater, great seats. Huge group of people. We did the premiere. They had a red carpet. We got our photo taken. It was an experience. It was an experience. It was beautiful. It was magical. It was fun. We got to be a part of this thing. not just is bigger than ourselves, but it's a collective thing. I went to a premiere of Avengers Endgame. It wasn't the premiere, sorry. But like, I went opening night to Avengers Endgame. Where were you? Where were you when Avengers Endgame came out? I remember that. I remember sitting in the theater feeling those feelings. I remember the day after being in the Disney parks, talking about this movie with all of our friends. We were all there together. We all went from park to park to park to park to park. And we were talking about Avengers Endgame all day. I remember this. I guarantee you, when Dune comes out on HBO Max, when Wonder Woman 1984 comes out on HBO Max, when Tom and Jerry comes out on HBO Max, Suicide Squad, nobody's going to be talking about their experience the day after. Yeah, we're all going to debate the movie and we're going to pick it apart. We're going to say, oh, I like this part. I don't like that part. Oh, I wish they would have done this differently. Like, yeah, that kind of stuff we're still going to be talking about. But we're not going to engage with each other the same way we used to. We're not going to have these passionate moments because the experience just won't be there. I mean, it will still be there for a while. Movie theaters will not completely go away, but it will not be the new normal. It just won't. That, I think, is devastating. Okay, so we got way off topic. I got way off topic here. How does this affect people in the UK? Let's go back to the article here, right? At the moment, the streaming platform HBO Max is not available in every country across the globe. Each country also has different rules regarding the theatrical window, France being one of the strictest, So how will this affect countries outside of the US, in particular the UK? According to the head of HBO Max Global, Andy Forsell, HBO Max will be available in Europe and Latin America by the second half of 2021. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Aiming to launch HBO Max in 190 countries. Great. But here's the not so great news. In the UK, however, HBO content is available through Comcast-backed pay TV operator Sky. It thus seems unlikely HBO Max will be launched in the UK. And then it goes on to say, like, the exclusivity deal between Sky and HBO Max and partnership and blah, blah, blah. Like, they have a 5-year contract. They have a 5-year thing here going on. So I don't see... Oh, man, I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Again, things that were impossible yesterday suddenly become possible today. So is it possible that Warner Media, HBO, and Sky will reach a new agreement in the near future? Yeah, it's possible. It's very possible, actually. Because look at this situation. 17, like their entire slate, their entire 2021 slate being released on HBO Max is mammoth. Mammoth, you guys. Oh, man. So, for right now, it's unlikely. It's unlikely. You can still go to the movie theaters if you feel safe, if you feel that you can do it safely. If you don't feel that you can do it safely, the article goes on to say that there's a possibility that you may still be able to pay-per-view these movies. Possible. Who knows though? All right, we got, like I said, today's a weird day. Today is a very, very, very weird day. So what else changes as a result of this? What else changes? How else, if this is true, what else is true? So here's what I'm thinking, you guys. What else changes? Disney. Come on. They're going to follow suit. You know they are. Disney Plus is going to do this. And here's the thing, AMC theaters, this is so hypocritical of AMC. I love AMC, but I hate AMC. You know, it's like that. It's not that I hate AMC. They just do dumb things every now and again. AMC started this whole fire. They started this whole thing by saying, do you remember Trolls World Tour? Do you remember that whole debacle? When Universal announced that they were going to bypass the theatrical window and release Trolls World Tour on VOD, AMC theaters was all in an uproar. They were all in an uproar. They threw their hand, specifically Adam Aaron, CEO Adam Aaron, threw his arms up in the air and said, "We will not forget this. How dare you do this to us?" And then what did he do? He went around, he made a walk around the block, had a moment to rethink his statements, and then say, you know what? Maybe they have something here. And then he went ahead and cut a deal with Universal and said, yeah, okay, that's fine. That whole, I'm angry, roar, ignore that, throw it out the window. Even though we said some extremely harsh things towards you, Universal, ignore it, and let's cut a deal together. So that's what they did. And then Cinemark made the same deal. And Regal hasn't made the deal yet, but other movie theater chains have. And now, with everything going on with Disney and releasing, Soul is coming out on Disney Plus, and the whole Mulan thing that came out on Disney Plus, and it's looking very, 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 very likely. I couldn't remember the name of the movie. The Black Widow is going to come out on Disney Plus as well, probably for premium. We're not quite sure yet. More on that later. But yeah. So everything that happened before, I'm not going to say that everything that happened before was necessary for this to happen with HBO Max. But now that HBO Max is done, it's been that whole thing of like, Disney says one thing, and then Warner Brothers says another thing, and then they've kind of egged each other on so that the stakes keep getting higher and higher and higher and higher. Well, now there's this. This is the news. This is the big thing. So, yes, Disney is going to follow. They are. Paramount Plus is going to follow. And when I say Paramount Plus, I mean CBS All Access, because, they're changing their name, right? So CBS All Access / Paramount Plus, they will be doing the same thing, because, come on. They've 2 Mission Impossible movies, not to mention all the other stuff that they're filming and doing right now, but which I guess is Fast and the Furious. I think, yeah, it's Paramount. So all the future Fast and Furious movies, however more there's going to be. I think they said 11 total, but still, more Mission Impossible movies, everything else coming out. Like, all the studios are going to jump on board with this. But there's also something very interesting happening over at Legendary Pictures. So if you're not already familiar, Dune and also Godzilla vs. Kong. Those are Legendary Pictures films. They're distributed by Warner Media. And because they're distributed by Warner Media gets to decide where they go. And they've decided that they're going to HBO Max. And as is pointed out here in this article from Deadline, they were only given a 30-minute heads up from Warner Media. Hey, Legendary Pictures? Yeah, Warner Media over here. Hey, so those 2 really big, huge blockbuster movies you made that we're going to distribute for you? Yeah, so we're not taking those to theaters. In fact, go ahead and put them in theaters, but we're also releasing them on streaming. Okay, thanks, bye! Click. That's what they did. Yeah, they're coming out in movie theaters, but they're also coming out on HBO Max, which Legendary Pictures, hang on. Whoa. What? Let's jump into the article. Let's see. I'm hearing that Legendary Entertainment either has or will send legal letters to Warner Brothers as soon as today, challenging the decision to put the Denis Villeneuve directed Dune into the HBO Max deal, as well as Godzilla vs. Kong. Wow. You guys, that is like, wow. They didn't know. And as a result, okay, we're going to file an injunction. This ain't cool, you guys. So more on that later, because, I mean, as the article points out, they only just found this out. Like, sources are saying they're probably either they are planning to or they just did, send some legal paperwork over to say, hey, cease and desist. I don't know. Are there takesy backsies? I don't know. It's the whole if this is true, what else is true argument. This has such lasting impact. Who knows where the limit for the sky is? And if you live in the UK, where's the limit for the sky? See, I did a little double entendre there for you. This is, I don't know. This story, this situation is something that will continue. Like bigger and bigger news stories will happen as a result of this. But this is the linchpin. This is with everything we always say, oh, well, this is the turning point. This is this HBO Max, Warner Media. This is the turning point. This is it. We're here. This is the day that we will all look back on and be like, oh, where were you when you heard the news, right? This is where it all starts. Anyway, guys, we have hashed this out quite a bit. I know there's so much more to talk about, and my brain is just so full of everything that I've already talked about. I know there's stuff that you want to talk about. So why don't you say we just jump into your live questions? And holy moly, there have been a lot of live questions here. So let's jump in and start talking about what you want to talk about.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Sending in live questions and comments all show long. So let's jump in and take some of these now. Matthew Wiles, I called you out by name earlier. So you said, I hate that this is happening to cinemas, but I think Disney will say the same as Warner Brothers. Yep. Yes, they will. Disney will, Paramount will. What are all the other? Here's the thing about like some of the studios that don't have their own streaming platforms. Let's talk about Legendary. Let's talk about A23. Let's talk about Blumhouse. These are studios that don't have their own streaming platforms. So what are they going to do? They're going to be pigeonholed. Do you remember the whole Paramount decrees? The Paramount decrees prevented studios from having a monopoly on film distribution. It prevented them from having that monopoly, right? And also creating these bundle deal packages. Yes, I mean, like, oh, you want to show Dune, a Warner Brothers, let's say Wonder Woman. You want to show Wonder Woman in a Disney theater? Okay, you can do that, but at a higher premium, and you're really going to pay for it. Or we're going to keep the vast majority of profits, and you're going to get a tiny, tiny little profit there. And then another thing that could happen is, yeah, Disney will show your movie. Or rather, how about this? If Disney wants Frozen 3, let's just say Frozen 3 is coming out. So Frozen 3 is going to be shown in a Warner Brothers theater, but because Disney is such a powerhouse, they're going to force themselves on to Warner Brothers and say, okay, yeah, you can have Frozen 3, but guess what? You're also going to take Wreck-It Ralph 3. You're also going to take Cars 5. You're going to take all the smaller properties. You're going to get all the Mickey Mouse shorts. You have to show the shorts. If you don't show the shorts, then the whole deal is null and void. And so it prevents like packaging, like all that stuff. And now, 100 years later, I guess it's like 90-ish years later, here we are in a very similar situation, but instead of movie theaters, we have streaming platforms. Streaming platforms. So now Legendary Pictures, a studio that doesn't have their own streaming platform, they have to cut deals with Warner Brothers. They have to cut deals with Amazon Prime. They have to cut deals with Netflix, because in order to stay in business, that's what they have to do. Because, they won't have their own streaming unless they create their own streaming platform, which then will be problematic for the market. I already pay, I calculated everything up. I pay roughly about $60, $70 a month in my streaming services. I do. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. And if Legendary comes out with one, and if A23 comes out with one, and if Blumhouse comes out with one, and if Lionsgate comes out with one, these are all other streaming services that I'm gonna have to pay for. Gonna have to, take that for what it's worth. Matthew Wild says, the release schedule alone will hurt cinemas, even if cinemas were even open. Yeah. Well, because you have a new movie coming out every 3 weeks. And let's just say that, like Regal, let's take Regal, or, because Matthew, you're in the UK, so Cineworld is shut down. Regal and Cineworld, they are shut down. So it's easy for Warner Media to say, hey, we're coming out with a movie in cinemas the same day that they're coming out on HBO Max. But guess what? In the UK, you don't get HBO Max. So where are you going to be able to go see Wonder Woman? Oh, you can go to the theaters? Well, guess what? Cineworld is now shut down. Okay, well, it's coming out in AMC theaters in the UK, but let's just say that, the nearest AMC theater in the UK is in Manchester. You're not going to drive from Leeds to Manchester maybe you will. I don't know. But first and foremost, maybe you don't have an AMC theater in Leeds. I don't know. Maybe you do, but let's just say you don't. I know for a fact that there is an AMC theater in Manchester. So you're not going to drive from Leeds to Manchester just to see Wonder Woman 84. And even if you were in a non-COVID world, would you? Because of COVID? I mean, like I said, I feel fine about going back to the movie theaters as long as you can do it safely, as long as it's not overcrowded, and you can keep that massive social distance, more than 6 feet in between you and the next person closest to you. More than 6 feet. Alcohol spray, everything. Keep your hands clean. Keep your station sanitized. Yeah, it's massively going to hurt cinemas. Matthew says, annoyingly, you will be able to see Wonder Woman 6 months before me, potentially. How am I going to avoid spoilers for nearly a year? It will suck. Sky has to do something for us Brits. I mean, like I said, they may. Traditionally, up until maybe Avengers Endgame, the first Avengers movie kind of changed everything in terms of U.S. releases versus global releases. The first Avengers movie in 2012 was the first film, I believe, somebody can please fact check me on this, to come out internationally before it came out domestically in the United States. And it generated so much buzz internationally that it helped ticket sales in the United States, and it became extremely profitable. That was a genius marketing tactic. But up until then, movies would come out in the United States 3 to 6 months before they came out anywhere else internationally. So, I mean, in this situation, we may be reverting back to that business model. I don't know. Matthew says, it's not just that we are social people, although I will never forget watching Endgame and 5 girls bawling their eyes out at Tony Stark's death, but some movies are made for the big screen that even my 55-inch TV can't give me. You are 1,000% correct. You're 1,000% correct. There are movies that have been released on Disney Plus, like Mulan. A lot of people were saying, yeah, this would have been so much better on the big screen. I don't know if it would have been. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It seemed like a smaller movie to me. It didn't seem like a big budget theatrical movie release, movie theater experience kind of movie. And even Kim and I just watched Godmothered last night on Disney Plus about, kind of like fairy tale godmother. She comes to Boston to help this, girl, but whatever. It's a cute movie. It's a stupid movie. It was dumb. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I don't think I ever need to watch it again. But, if you've seen the movie Enchanted, it was Enchanted, but with a fairy godmother instead of a fairy tale princess. Anyway, but that kind of movie didn't feel like it was made for a theatrical experience. It felt like it was a smaller kind of made for TV movie, which is what streaming films are now starting to become. And that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that there is going to be, because you are losing the grandeur of, take The Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, was specifically designed, like that movie was specifically designed and created for a theatrical experience. It was filmed in 70 millimeter, which people don't do anymore. That's like ultra widescreen. And you're not going to get the same effect on your computer screen, even on your home television screen. Even if you have one of the larger TVs, like a 65 inch or a 75 inch. 75 inch is a massive in-home television. It's huge. But for the 70 millimeter viewing experience, you're not going to get that same level of clarity and viewpoints and view angles than you would in the theater. You're exactly right, Matthew. Some movies are designed to be watched in a movie theater. Tenet is designed to be watched in a movie theater. You're not going to get the same experience out of Tenet at home than you would in a theater. It's just, you're not. So I'm concerned that moving forward, knowing that you're not going to get the same experience in home viewing than you normally would in a theater, I'm concerned that some of these studios know this and will take their budget down, which taking your budget down anyway to help save costs in filmmaking, I think is extremely necessary. But there are ways to get the grandeur of a Hateful Eight or a Jurassic Park or an Avengers Endgame or whatever without spending $250 million. And I'm concerned that by taking down the budgets of some of these films, that the quality is going to go down, that it's going to feel like a made-for-TV movie, that it's going to feel like a made-for-streaming movie. And many of them will be. Many of them will be made for streaming. I just hope it doesn't feel that way. I don't know. Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. Megan Miles, how are you? Megan Miles says, yeah, I gotta say, it's a bit sad. I worked at the Alamo Draft House in Brooklyn as a server. I used to make really good money. That is so sad for cinemas because they are already struggling to keep afloat. Even when I was working, my schedule came out super last minute because we had to wait on the studios to release what movies we were getting. I hope that it's safe. People will return to the theater. Yeah, I agree. Like, we're social people. When this whole COVID stuff is over and said and done with, theaters, I think, will have a small resurgence. But with all of this streaming content between HBO Max, between Disney Plus, between Apple TV Plus, between Paramount Plus, between Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on, right? People are going to continue to watch their movies at home. because we're lazy. Here's the thing. We want the highest quality. We want to get as much as we can. As lazy as we can, right? Look at a dishwasher. That's the whole purpose of a dishwasher. You don't wash your dishes. You put your dirty dishes in this machine and then let it do the work for you. It can wash so much faster and so much more efficiently than you can doing it by hand. And you don't have to worry about your expensive plate slipping through your hands and smashing on the floor because of your soapy fingers, right? Everything that we do is designed to make life easier, and streaming does that. You don't have to go anywhere. You can stay in your home. Now, for a family like if your situation is at all like what my family situation is, I'm not going to get into super details, but there is a part of my family they don't get to go out all that often. And I'm not talking about like in a COVID world. I mean, just normally. In 2019, there's been a certain portion of my family that just can't go to the movie theaters for this reason or that reason. And they've kind of been homebound for a while. So COVID is kind of perfect for them because now it gives them a reason to never leave their home. So stuff like this is good for them because they don't have to miss out on these opportunities to see these movies, to see these films, and be part of the discussion. But if you're a massive film fan like me, or like Megan, who earns her money as a server at Alamo Drafthouse in Brooklyn, you know, the landscape is changing, you guys. The landscape is changing massively. Ian Martin says, I think that theaters will embrace a subscription-based membership. Before COVID, I paid $14.99 a month and could see 3 movies a month. They made money off of me as I have to get popcorn. The devaluing of a ticket price is not a bad thing for consumers. Oh, okay. So there's a few things going on here. Yes, I had the AMC A-list. I don't know if that was the same membership that you belong to, Ian, but yeah, I belong to AMC A-list, and that was a wonderful subscription thing. If a theater chain has a subscription plan already set up, like AMC A-list, Regal had one set up as well. I believe there's like a couple others. In the UK, they have better subscription plans than we do in the US. After COVID is over and it's like known that it's safe to go back into the water again, I believe that movie theaters will see a resurgence of people returning to the movie theater. That's my personal belief. The question is, how many movie theaters will actually survive this? How many will get through it? Because we're looking at another year, at least. We're looking at another year of this stuff, at least. So what is going to be around, you know, is the big question. And also, with HBO Max not having to, because again, there's no contract that says Wonder Woman has to come out in a movie theater. I mean, like they've already made that agreement, and you know they've already said that, you know, Suicide Squad, which is coming out like later next year. But let's move forward to 2022. Let's talk about The Batman with Robert Pattinson. Is there a deal in place already that says that The Batman with Robert Pattinson must have a theatrical release? I don't know. Maybe not. So what happens if The Batman is solely released on HBO Max? What happens? I mean, sure, maybe they're not eligible for the Oscars, which I'm sure they would be. I don't know. It's again, like I keep saying, we've been saying in the negative for so long. What is impossible yesterday suddenly becomes possible today. So who knows? I mean, that could change. That may not change. Ian Martin goes on to say, I'm curious how many folks would see Wonder Woman in the theaters versus HBO Max if COVID wasn't a thing. Well, first of all, if COVID wasn't a thing, we would not be finding ourselves in this situation. I mean, maybe in 5 years we would, because we know that COVID has accelerated everyone's plans. Like Warner Media has come out directly and said like they are accelerating their plans as a result of COVID. Same thing with Disney Plus, you know. They are accelerating their plans. But again, semantics. I understand the spirit of what you're saying here. How many folks would see Wonder Woman in theaters versus on HBO Max if COVID wasn't a thing? I would still say, because, okay, this is, so there's a YouTuber named Chris Stuckman. He does movie reviews. And when this news when this became an announcement, when this news became news, he did an editorial on his YouTube channel. And one of the things that he talked about is, in a lot of movie theaters, you get like your passive moviegoers, people who are on their phones, people who are talking, people who aren't really paying attention, you know, people who are causing a nuisance to everyone else in the theater. I mean, yes, a lot of people are there to watch the movie, but even if you are there to watch the movie, there's a lot of moviegoers who just want to see the movie. They don't need the theatrical experience. I am one of those people that need the theatrical experience. I think a lot of people understand the value of the theatrical experience, but I don't think a lot of people need the theatrical experience. They just want to see the movie, right? So how many people would see Wonder Woman in theaters versus HBO Max if COVID wasn't a thing? I think more than we think. He goes on to say, if I had the choice to see it streamed or in the theater, I would still choose to pay to see it on the big screen. The only reason I am not is that I will not go to a theater in the pandemic. And that's fair. That is completely valid. I don't want anybody to do anything that they don't feel comfortable doing. I feel comfortable going back to the theaters. I have said this multiple times. I've done it. I've been back to the theaters 4 times. Twice in Orlando, twice in New Jersey. And I feel that I can do it safely. If you actually look to see who's in the theater, when you're booking your ticket, like social distance, stay away from everybody, sanitize everything. The movie theaters have changed out their filtration systems. I feel safe. I feel fine going back to the movie theaters. But I understand a lot of people don't, which is why they're empty right now. That's why nobody's going to the movie theaters, because so many people do not feel comfortable being in that environment. I get it. I commend you for that. Matthew Weil says, in replying to Ian, I would want to go to the cinema for this one, but I would have the option to stay in. But I would have the option to stay in if I didn't have a babysitter. For the cinemas for this one, but I would have the option to stay in if I didn't have a babysitter. Okay, yeah, exactly. If you have it streaming on HBO Max and you don't have a babysitter, watch it on HBO Max, you know? Because again, getting that childcare is another huge thing. I was previously talking about a portion of my family that just doesn't go out anymore. Not even in a COVID world, but I mean, COVID, yes, has exacerbated the whole thing. But even before COVID, they didn't really go out because circumstances make it such. And if you don't have a babysitter, guess what? You're not going out. And now in a COVID world, getting a babysitter, I would imagine, I don't have kids myself, but getting a babysitter, I would imagine, is so much more difficult. Nobody wants to be exposed. Nobody wants to keep sharing and spreading these germs. I get it. Matthew Weil says, I would go to the cinema to watch these. I reckon less than 30% would return even with the vaccine. In time, I think a lot of people would return because again, we're social creatures. We need that social experience. And I know for a fact there are a ton of people who are yearning so bad to go back to the movie theaters. Again, when I work on the airplane as a flight attendant, I talk movies because this is what I do. I love movies. I love the theater going experience. I miss movies. And I like it's movies are a thing that connect everyone, and it's an easy way for me to have a connection with another human being and say, "Hey, what's your favorite movie?" For me, it's Jurassic Park. What's your favorite movie? Let's talk about that. Why do you love that so much? Oh, that's a great right, and we get to have this dialogue. We get to have a human connection. You know what else makes human connections? Having group experiences. Even if you experience something on the other side of the world than I do, we're still having an experience. Let's just say Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is at the root of our shared experience. Granted, we didn't do it together, but we have shared experience by A, seeing the movie, B, loving the movie, and C, having this experience of going to a place. There's intrinsically something special and valuable about seeking after a thing, right? Take shopping, for example. Right now, everybody's Christmas shopping because Christmas season is in the air. A lot of people are doing their shopping online. So it robs you of the specialness, I guess. Let's just say you want to buy a picture frame on from wherever. You really want to put like a photo of yourself in a picture frame and give it to your grandmother. That's your gift. Is it more meaningful to buy it on Amazon, or is it more meaningful to go out, to a picture frame maker and pick out which picture frame you want and handcraft it and see the process and know that this is something that is tailor-made for this person, as opposed to just, there you go, right? So it's these shared experiences that I think we seek after and that we need to survive as human beings, because we are social creatures. How many people do not want to quarantine? Everybody. Nobody wants to quarantine because we're social creatures. We need to get out and need to have these shared experiences. And movie theaters are just another version of shared experiences. That's it. Movie theaters are another version of shared experiences. And you say, I reckon less than 30% would even return with the vaccine. A, that depends on the vaccine. And B, well, when I say it depends on the vaccine, it needs to be proven, right? It's already been tested. It's already been proven behind closed doors, but now it needs to be proven out in the public, right? So once people start getting it, and if the results turn out that, hey, this actually works the way that they say it works, with very little to no side effects, and then more people are going to get the vaccine, we will start returning to our normal life, as maybe not as we knew it, but as close as we can get it, right? So I think more than 30% will return. Ian Martin says, Matthew, excellent point. This is in reference to his to Matthew saying, I would go to the cinema for this one with the whole babysitter thing, right? Ian says, Matthew, excellent point. I am single, and there are few things I enjoy more than movies. My only true barriers are cost and time. I do not think I am representative of the general moviegoer. You might be selling yourself short, because I've been in that boat for a long time as well, Ian. And I think there are a lot of people that that cost and time have been the only barriers. I mean, yes, babysitters and, your situation, that kind of stuff. That all applies. Yes. But, yeah, don't sell yourself short there. Matthew Weil says, I think cinemas need to hold on to 2022 to get the same amount of people. If Disney and Apple do the same as HBO Max, then that's the cinemas dead. Yeah, well, again, we'll have to wait and see. I still think, even with all of these movies coming out, it's going to be a very different landscape. It'll be a very different landscape because movie theaters will have to take a larger cut of the box office to stay afloat. They just will. And I don't think that companies like Disney or HBO Max or Warner Media, I don't think that they're going to have a huge problem with them taking a larger cut because they need to. And it's also what's contractually already been agreed upon. I think it also depends on what everyone's reaction to HBO Max is going to be. You know, we don't know how many, we know roughly how many subscribers HBO Max currently has. I know Disney Plus is, they currently have what, like 73, 74 million subscribers. So they have 74 million subscribers. HBO Max is about half of that. They're about 40. They're around 40 million subscribers right now. The question is, how many more subscribers are they going to get throughout 2021? How many more? They might get a lot more. In fact, I know they're going to get a lot more. There's a very good chance that by the end of 2021, they will hit 100,000 subscribers. Easy. Disney will probably be over 100,000 by the end of 2021. Fairly certain, especially with all the Marvel television shows coming out. They will be well over 100,000 by the end of 2021. So with that revenue coming in, and they own their own content, and they don't have to pay licensing fees, they can get away with having the theaters take a larger chunk of the box office. They can get away with that. But yeah, I don't know. 2022 is going to be an interesting thing because, again, HBO Max said, "Oh, this is a 1-year thing. Oh, we're just testing this out for 1 year." Bull pucky it is. They're testing it out to make sure this is a sustainable business model moving forward. Bull pucky. I don't believe that for a second. Matthew Weil says, before kids, me and the wife would go 2 to 3 times a week. Now we cherry pick, but haven't been all year. So very sad. I understand, man. Like, everybody is in the same boat together, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Trent Rogers from Oil City, Pennsylvania. Trent Rogers says, classic theater experience seems like an unsustainable business model in today's society. What do you think they'd have to change to get people into seats? So question number 1. Question number 2 is, do you think if 3D movies would have really caught on, the theaters wouldn't be struggling as much since the tech isn't the most accessible? Okay. So 2 questions. Would 3D have saved movie theaters? It's a question that almost kind of doesn't matter, right? Because there's no model to support evidence on either side of the coin. So would 3D have killed movie theaters, or would 3D have saved movie theaters? It's something that didn't happen. So it's a complete hypothetical. Is it possible that 3D could have? Yeah, it's possible. I don't think it would. Very likely, though. Because, again, it's any time that you introduce a gimmick into a pre-established, let's look at Oreo cookies. The most successful Oreo cookie is just the plain basic Oreo cookie. The second most successful Oreo cookie is the plain basic double stuff Oreo cookie, because you get the cream, but just a little bit more. Those are the most popular. Even the mega stuff, I think it's like 4 times the cream. People don't need that much cream. People buy it because it's available, but it's not the most popular type of Oreo. Just the regular plain Oreo, like the chocolate cookie with a little bit of cream and another chocolate cookie, that's what most people buy. And I would even argue the double stuff. Those are the 2 most popular. The orange cream filling, the pick your own color thing, the Oreo fudge dip, all of those things are gimmicks. They come and go. Even the mega stuff with the 4 times cream, that's seasonal at best. That's seasonal. They don't keep that in stock year round. Not like they do regular Oreos and the double stuff. So anytime you introduce a gimmick into a pre-existing product, like 3D into movie theaters, yeah, everybody wants to try it, but it's not all that sustainable. That's why AMC theaters have started converting their cinemas into like the Dolby Atmos theater. You have a 4K screen. It's the regular, normal, plain experience that you've always known, but with just a little bit more comfort. You know, a reclining seat does not change your visually. It's not the gimmick that changes the theater going experience. 3D changes the theater going experience. 4D, Regal's 4D cinemas. I hate those things. I saw the Lego Batman movie in 4D, and that was terrible. Like, I hated that experience. 30 minutes in, I was like, okay, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm cold because I have all this wind blowing on me because it's wind blowing in the movie. Hey, somebody's flying in the air. Wind blowing on me. Oh, Batman gets sprayed with water. Psh, I get water sprayed. I don't want that. I don't need that. No thanks. I want a beautiful picture. I want a comfortable seat, and now I want a clean environment. That's what I need. So, do I think that 3D movies, but again, it's contingent on what you say. If they had caught on, would theaters be struggling as much? Yeah, I mean, they would. Theaters would still be struggling. 3D, I don't think would have saved theaters. But you also ask, what do I think that movie theaters would have to change to get people into seats? Well, right now, there's not a lot that they can do. I mean, they've implemented new cleaning procedures and policies and all that, and practices. But here's the thing, you guys. This is what I've been saying about, like, especially organizations like the NSA. Everyone is so concerned. Oh, the NSA is listening to our conversation. Oh, they know what we're talking about. Oh, no, don't say the wrong thing or the NSA is going to do blah, blah. Nobody cares about their job that much. I mean, yeah, some people do because that's their identity. But most people identify as a human being, as they take care of their family. That's their world. That's the world that they live in. Their work is just their job. And yes, I understand. There are a lot of people out there that their work, their career is their life. I'm a flight attendant. I work with a ton of people that being a flight attendant is the only thing that they care about. They don't do well in relationships. As Lego Batman once said, I don't do ships, relationships. They don't do ships, Their work is their life. That is their lifeblood. That is their passion. Let's make the company as best as it can be, That's a small portion of the population. So why am I talking about this? Well, I'm referring to the people who clean movie theaters. And same thing, the people who clean the airplanes. People don't care enough about their jobs to pay attention to the fine details. Have you ever walked into a movie theater and in your cup holder, there's like maybe a little bit of trash still stuck in your cup holder? When you walk into a movie theater and the floor is still sticky because somebody spilled their soda? Yeah, there's people that go in and clean the movie theaters, but not that well, you guys. Not that well. So even though the theaters have implemented new cleaning procedures, I don't trust people to provide me with a safe environment in that regard. I don't believe that the seats are as clean as they would like to think that they are. Okay, granted, yeah, they have this fogger machine that they go through and they fog everything down. And if used properly, it worked great. I just don't think that people use that thing properly. So what do I think that movie theaters would have to change to get people into seats? First of all, when you say you're changing the cleaning experience, get people to care about their jobs across the board. The people who work in movie theaters, get them, like, increase their pay, increase their status, increase their benefits, increase the level of trust and stuff like that. Make them feel special. Make them feel that you care about them as an employee. Because if you don't take care of your employees will not take care of your customers. That's how it works. So the theaters need to get their employees to care about their jobs in like a real way. Maybe it's not just a job anymore. Maybe working in a movie theater is a career choice. Maybe, okay, granted, you still have to clean the theater. Nobody wants to be the janitor of a movie theater. But if this is the direction that we're headed in terms of, fewer and fewer people going back to the movies, you need to get people invested in going back to the theaters. And the way you do that is make them feel safe, make them feel comfortable. So if you get the people who work in a movie theater to clean the movie theater, don't just, hey, we're going to put up a flyer and say, hey, it's certified clean. Go to a hotel room. I guarantee you, there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned and sanitized in a hotel. I spend about a half hour whenever I have to stay overnight, whenever I'm working as a flight attendant and I have to stay overnight in a different city. I bring all my own cleaning materials. I clean everything. I don't trust people to do their jobs properly. Maybe that's on me. But I would also venture a guess that that's probably also many other people. So that would be my answer. The general public needs to know that they are safe going back to the movie theaters. And how do we do that? Get the employees to care about their jobs, to actually genuinely clean and genuinely enforce mask wearing. And this is just in a COVID world. Outside of a COVID world, once the pandemic is over, I do think that people are definitely going to be more prone to going back to the theaters after you have like the pioneers going back to the theater and say, hey, it's safe. Like, it's okay. We can do this safely, and together we can do it. So it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while, but it'll happen. And our last comment of the day comes from Mr. Matthew Wiles. And Matthew says, Mike, I reckon you will be like Frank from Last Action Hero. If you owned your own theater, you will be the guy trying to keep cinema alive and not willing to update. Possibly. Especially if I'm a ghost. I won't have the means to update my theater. But yeah, that's, I don't know. It's always been a dream of mine to own my own comedy theater. And with my love of movies and cinema, I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll own my own movie theater someday. If they become a niche thing. And that's a thing, I think, and I hate the word niche. Oh my dear heavens. Makes me sound so pretentious. Anyone who uses the word niche, you sound pretentious. And I'm throwing myself into this bucket. Movie theaters will become a niche thing. Niche quotations. The movie theaters at some point will become a niche thing, just like vinyl, like what we're talking about all the way at the beginning. Movie theaters will become a niche market. Because people can consume the vast majority of their media at home. Just the same way that, tape collecting or VHS collecting or vinyl collecting. Like, you have your collectors and it's still, like, there are still record stores. They're all niche record stores. They're all indie record stores. They're independently owned and operated. People who've gone out and collected this stuff and now have opened a store, they can sell it and keep this industry, if you can call it an industry, keep this idea alive. Movie theaters will be the same way. You're going to get indie movie theaters. And there may actually be, in the next 10 years, there may be a resurgence of independent movie theater chains. Maybe not chains, but independent movie theaters. Who knows what's going to happen to Alamo Drafthouse? Who knows what's going to happen to AMC? Regal, Cinemark, Landmark, Carmike, you name it. These movie theaters are slowly going to start going away. They won't die out completely. They won't completely go away because, like I said, we're social creatures. We need that group experience. But the landscape has drastically changed. Oh, look at this. Matthew Wiles comments a little bit more. He says, I would crowdfund you, mate. Well, thank you. I would gladly accept your help. I hate you. Oh, your next comment. I would get John Boyega to speak on your behalf. You know what? If John Boyega were to publicly endorse my endeavors of opening my own movie theater, I would accept. Sir. Yeah. Anyway, so guys, we have droned on for about an hour and a half now. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for being part of the conversation. Like I said, today's show is very different from what the format usually is. Tomorrow, who knows what the format for tomorrow's show is going to be. Who knows? And as well, moving forward in the Christmas holiday, probably format of the show is going to look different right around the holidays. So more on that later. You guys, I'm also I should have brought this up earlier. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. Next week, so next Sunday, I will be appearing in a reading of an original play, of an original, it's not a production, a script, essentially, of Hungry Hungry Hippos. So, let's see. All right, bringing it up now. Here we go. So, where is my window? Oh, man, this is embarrassing. Here we go. So I next Sunday, Leah Evans, who owns and operates and runs the Armory Theater. It's a comedy theater. It's an improv theater here in New York City. Leah Evans has asked me to be part of this reading of Hungry Hungry Hippos. This is an original production or original script by Leah Evans. She wrote it herself. Each week she does a challenge where she writes a full-length script in 1 week, and then she puts on readings of these scripts. So the script that I am going to be a part of is I will be playing a character or multiple characters. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. We've yet to do rehearsals. But on Sunday, today is Monday, so in the next 6 days, 6 days away, I will be a part of the production of Hungry Hungry Hippos. So just keep an eye out for that. I'll be doing more posts about it in the upcoming future. So just something to keep on your radar there. You guys, thanks so much for being part of the conversation. Thanks so much for listening. Yeah, if you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what John Boyega would want you to do. All right, guys, my name is Mike Brown. This is Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news. You guys, we live in a weird, crazy world where everybody has their own thoughts and opinions, and sometimes those thoughts and opinions clash. So if you have an opportunity to infuse a little bit of kindness in the world today, if you have an opportunity to speak kind words to each other, please take those opportunities. And as always, in the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. I'll see you guys tomorrow.